Oh, you good, Jesse? Careful.
I'm trying to get this bike in the rack, and like, look, I can get it to stay for a second, and then it just falls out.
All right. Well, yeah, these are terrible. These are old, and they don't really work that well, but I think I got the solution right here. This is the Steadyrack Fat Rack, and it's meant to replace these terrible old ones.
Wow, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, so Ethan, I'm sure glad you have a solution to this, because I mean, you know, quite a few years ago we bought these bike racks, and you know, they're supposed to be for regular bikes, not e-bikes, which of course are heavier and bigger, and I mean, they worked for the bikes, but I mean, I don't know if you if you can notice, damage top and bottom.
Wouldn't go over very well with your landlord.
No, or just maybe your significant other. And also, I mean, these things I don't think were built to last. The rubber thing that's supposed to protect your bike are broken on all three of them that have them, and then of course there's one that just doesn't have it, and you have like a sharp burr on the back, so it's gonna scratch up your wheels.
These are barely long enough to hold onto the wheels to begin with.
And now that we're getting into the world of, you know, fat bike e-bikes, these aren't gonna work for e-bikes.
No.
What's this Steadyrack system? How's that work?
So the Steadyrack basically replaces these racks. You drive the front tire up onto it, then it holds the whole bike off of the floor, and you can actually rotate it over to the side so that you can keep more bikes in the same space, or just keep it out of the way of your living room or of your other stuff. So it's a big space saver, and it's a lot more sturdy than these bike racks.
And now, does it keep it off the walls so we don't end up with chipped paint and tire marks in your walls?
Yep, the whole system stays a little bit out from the wall, so nothing about the bike is gonna touch the wall, smack into anything, or, you know, give you paint scrapes like that.
What about down at the bottom?
It actually has a little thing down here where the back tire rests so that it doesn't touch the wall at all. So this is meant to protect your walls and keep this from happening.
So I mean, you know, obviously there'll probably be some holes in your wall, but those are easier fixed than having to repaint huge sections of your wall. All right, well, let's get one of these opened up and popped on the wall, and let's try it out.
Place the back of the bike against the wall, then with the front tire of the bike in the rack, mark where the top hole of the rack would be. Then mark the spot on the wall for the top hole of the rack based on the measurement made on the floor. Drill pilot if needed, then hold the rack up to the marked spots and drill the screws into place to secure the rack. Once secured, cover the mounting hardware with the included plastic caps, and the Steadyrack is ready to use. Loading a bike onto the Steadyrack is easy as well. Stand the bike up on its back wheel, then roll it forwards and push it up onto the rack.
All right, so the Steadyrack Fat Rack, pretty cool.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
This is super neat.
I like the ability to rotate the bike out of the way. It makes getting on and off other bikes even easier, because if this was rotated back,
You'd be blocking it.
you'd be like, am I really gonna pull this bike off and
Risk knocking this off.
Right, slamming it and doing all sorts of stuff, so it's nice, it just folds right out of the way. I think you could have almost an infinite number. Now you might be saying like, guys, why didn't you just mount these a little bit further apart and then you wouldn't run into that problem? Well, I didn't design houses. All houses have 16-inch center studs. I like mounting stuff to studs. And I'm talking about the pieces of wood that hold up the wall. They're gonna be 16 inches apart, no matter what. And that means that these pretty much have to be 16 inches apart no matter what. I know that they come with anchors. I would only mount these to studs.
This is a pretty good spacing though, to be fair, with these bikes.
Yeah, I mean, the pedals aren't gonna touch. The handlebars might touch depending on what kind of bikes you have. But again, you can just kind of push them out of the way. I'd love to see like a whole wall of these.
Oh, yeah.
Because then you'd just be able to kind of, when you wanted to access a bike, you'd be able to. The other cool part is like once you get the bike off, you can fold it up.
Definitely. Everything about this is just space saving in mind.
So like this doesn't take up hardly any space on the wall. Then when you're ready to do it again, you just pull it out and you're ready to rock and roll. I mean, it fits not just fat tire bikes. This is about the skinniest tire bike you can get. And it fits right on there as well. There's a little tilt, but I mean, it's holding it steady. It's not like it's gonna fall out if we do something wrong.
Another thing to point out is the fact that these racks actually support the bikes by the tire and not by the wheels. The old bike racks that we have and a lot of other bike racks, they simply just grab the bike's wheel, and that can mess things up if you're not careful. These, the tires just rest right on the rack themselves. You don't have to worry about anything getting pulled out of place or anything getting scratched.
Right. Now there is one downside with this style rack, and that is if you have any fenders or mud guards on your bike, you're not going to be able to use this system, which is kind of a bummer to me. So the other nice thing is when you're getting it on and off, you're kind of rolling it towards yourself. It's rolling up and over this little pivot point here, which is kind of nice because you're not doing much lifting, you're just doing pushing, and it's rolling uphill onto the support. So with a tiny bike like this KBO Hurricane, you know, that's obviously no big deal. If we grab a bigger bike, rolling it up, you're just pushing and it goes on. Like, I didn't have to do much lifting. Your rear wheel kind of dangles, lifts off the ground, you're picking it up. You could mount these a little bit lower, so that way this would just be rolling on the floor. We set them a little bit higher just in case we have a slightly longer bike to make sure that it can go the way we want it to. They have really good instructions for how to hang these. One of the things is that you do the measurements on the floor, pretending that the floor is the wall, because it's just 90 degrees. It doesn't make a difference either way. But like with this bike, it's got a long tail. The tail actually extends further than the tire.
So when you're doing your measurements, you want to make sure you focus on the farthest back point on the bike, whether it's the tire or just the seat sticking out or the frame.
Right, because I mean, I could imagine in a weird world you could have like a big child seat on the back, which might stick past the tire. In that case, it would be a lot harder to get the bike on there, but that's not really Steadyrack's fault. It's just because you have a weird shaped bike. So I mean, all in all, this is a great option for fat tire bikes. I know that Steadyrack is going to be coming out with an e-bike version, which is going to be even beefier than this.
It's going to have a higher weight limit. And they also do make bike racks for non-fat tire bikes as well, but they were kind enough to send us these fat tire bike racks. So yes, they have e-bike racks in the works. They have other bike racks as well. They have a good selection of products.
Now they do have a 35 kilogram weight limit, which is enough for both of these two very beefy bikes. And they're able to hold them absolutely great. The e-bike ones will be even beefier, but again, how much beefier do you need these to be? These work perfectly well for these actual e-bikes because they're under the weight limit.
All right, well, thank you guys very much for watching this episode of Now Let's Review. If you like this video and want to see more like it, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel.